Just hours ago, President Trump announced he's cutting tariffs on China. The media is calling it everything from a victory to a surrender. But here's what nobody's telling you. This story started 3 weeks ago with a mineral most people have never heard of, and it could reshape the global economy for decades. I'm going to walk you through what actually happened, what the media is saying, what they're not saying, and most importantly, what this means for your wallet. Let's break it down. To understand what just happened, we need to rewind. When Trump returned to office in January 2025, he immediately revived his signature trade weapon, tariffs. By February 4th, he'd slapped a 10% fentanyl tariff on Chinese goods, then another 10% in March. By summer we were looking at 30% total tariffs on Chinese imports. But here's the thing, this wasn't random. Trump had a strategy. He wanted China to stop fentanyl precursor chemicals from flowing into America, buy more American soybeans, give up control over rare earth minerals, and for months, it looked like a stalemate. China bought 0 American soybeans in September. 0. Meanwhile, American farmers were hemorrhaging money, losing what experts estimate at billions in revenue. Then on October 9th, everything changed. China announced sweeping export controls on rare earth minerals, materials that sound boring but are absolutely critical. We're talking about the magnets in your phone, your car, military equipment, semiconductors. China controls over 90% of global rare earth processing. This was China's nuclear option in the trade war. And Trump? He went ballistic. On October 10th, Trump announced a massive retaliation, an additional 100% tariff on all Chinese goods, on top of the existing 30%. That would have brought total tariffs to 130%. He called China's move a moral disgrace and threatened to impose export controls on all critical software. Let me put that in perspective. At 130% tariffs, a $1,000 phone from China would suddenly cost $12,300 at the border. This wasn't just a trade war anymore, this was mutual economic destruction. The market's reaction, swift and brutal. US stock markets erased roughly $2 trillion in value in a single day. The business community panicked. Even Republican senators started pushing back. Now here's where the media narrative splits into 2 camps. Camp 1. The Trump victory narrative. Conservative outlets like Fox News emphasized Trump's strong negotiating position and praised his willingness to stand up to China. Camp 2. The Trump defeat narrative. Progressive outlets like MSNBC and senators like Elizabeth Warren called it losing a self-inflicted trade war. A Senate Democrat report released just before the Xi meeting claimed Trump was weakening America's leverage and selling out American farmers. But here's what both sides missed. Neither Trump nor Xi could actually afford to follow through on their threats, and both leaders knew it. Fast forward to yesterday, October 30th, Trump and Xi met for nearly 2 hours at Gimhae Air Base in South Korea, and when Trump walked out to Air Force One, he rated the meeting 12 out of 10. Here's what was agreed. 1. Tariff cuts. Fentanyl-related tariffs cut in half, from 20% to 10%. Total tariffs on Chinese goods reduced from 57% to 47%. The threatened 100% tariff? Completely off the table. 2. Rare earths. China agreed to delay its export controls for 1 year. Trump claims this will be routinely extended. China's statement is more vague. 3. Soybeans. China agreed to immediately start buying tremendous amounts of US soybeans, though early purchases are still a fraction of historical levels. 4. Fentanyl. China agreed to work very hard to stop fentanyl precursor flow. They've promised this before, without follow-through. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent expressed optimism that the deal would extend beyond its November 10th expiration. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer talked about finding a path forward. Sounds great, right? But let's talk about what the media is and isn't telling you about this deal. If you watch the news today, you'd see wildly different takes on the same event. Let's break down what each side is emphasizing, what conservative media is saying. They're focusing on, Trump got China to blink on rare earths, face-to-face diplomacy works. Farmers will finally get relief. Trump's tough stance brought Xi to the table. Trump used maximum pressure, Xi backed down, America wins. What progressive media is saying, they're emphasizing, Trump gave away leverage for vague promises. China has made fentanyl promises before, they don't keep them. American consumers still face 47% tariffs. Trump manufactured a crisis, then claimed victory for de-escalating his own escalation. Senator Chuck Schumer said Trump bowed down to Xi. Trump created unnecessary pain, then surrendered. What business media is saying? They're more analytical. Markets relieved by de-escalation. Details remain unclear on implementation. Key issues like Taiwan and TikTok weren't addressed. This is a temporary truce, not a comprehensive trade deal. Cautious optimism, but lots of uncertainty remains. Now here's where it gets interesting, because there are several crucial angles that almost no mainstream outlet is properly covering. 1. China's actual leverage is growing, not shrinking. While Trump threatened tariffs, here's what happened to China's economy. It grew 5.2% in the first 3 quarters of 2025. Their exports, up 8.3% overall, despite a 27% drop in shipments to America. How? China simply redirected exports. Sales to Africa jumped 56.4% in September alone. To Southeast Asia, up 15.6%. To the EU, up 14%. China has successfully diversified away from American dependence. Meanwhile, the media isn't telling you. China controls 60% of rare earth mining, but over 90% of rare earth refining. Even if America finds new sources, we can't process them without Chinese facilities. That's a 5 to 10-year problem minimum. 2. The real cost is on American consumers. Tax Foundation estimates Trump's tariffs amount to an average tax increase of $1,300 per U.S. household in 2025, rising to $2,000 in 2026. Even with yesterday's cuts, we're still looking at 47% tariffs, effectively a massive consumption tax that disproportionately hits middle and lower income families. Data shows businesses are passing these costs to consumers, not eating them, as the administration suggested. 3. This isn't a deal, it's a timeout. Almost nobody is emphasizing this. The rare earth agreement is only for 1 year. The soybean purchases are vague. Tremendous amounts. But how much? The fentanyl cooperation has no enforcement mechanism. This isn't a trade deal, it's a ceasefire. In 12 months we could be right back here or earlier. China's Commerce Ministry notably didn't mention their earlier export control measures, which remain in place. 4. The Supreme Court wildcard. Here's something almost completely missing from coverage. Trump's authority to impose these tariffs might be illegal. In May, federal courts ruled his use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, for tariffs was unlawful. The Supreme Court is hearing arguments on November 5th. If they rule against Trump, much of his tariff infrastructure could collapse overnight. That fundamentally changes the entire negotiating landscape, but media is barely mentioning it. 5. What didn't get discussed? The 2 biggest elephants not in the room: Taiwan and TikTok. Trump admitted Taiwan didn't come up. Neither did a concrete TikTok deal, despite it being a major issue. These omissions suggest both sides avoided their most contentious topics, which means the real hard negotiations haven't even started. So, what's the truth? Let me give you the analysis you won't get from partisan media. What Trump actually achieved: prevented economic catastrophe from 130% tariffs, got a temporary reprieve on rare earth restrictions, secured some soybean purchases, though scale unclear, kept communication channels open with Beijing, showed willingness to negotiate rather than escalate indefinitely. What Trump didn't achieve: didn't solve the fundamental rare earth dependency, didn't get enforceable commitments on fentanyl, didn't address the massive trade deficit, 871B in 2025 versus 705B in 2024, didn't resolve Taiwan, TikTok, or tech transfer issues, didn't reduce tariffs below pre-escalation levels. The bigger picture: neither side won this round. Trump avoided the disastrous consequences of his own 100% tariff threat. Xi avoided being isolated and maintained China's crucial market access while continuing to diversify away from American dependence. But here's the uncomfortable truth: Trump's tariff strategy has fundamentally failed to achieve its core objective: bringing manufacturing back to America and reducing Chinese economic power. Instead, it's cost American consumers billions, hurt farmers, and accelerated China's pivot to other markets. At the same time, Trump deserves credit for one thing: he's the first president in decades willing to directly confront China's economic practices, even if clumsily. Previous administrations talked tough, but did little. The real winners: countries like Vietnam, Mexico, and India absorbing diverted Chinese manufacturing. Chinese companies that successfully diversified their export markets. Lawyers and lobbyists navigating tariff exemptions. The real losers: American consumers paying higher prices, U.S. farmers who lost their biggest soybean customer, small businesses without resources to navigate complex tariff rules, global supply chain efficiency. So where do we go from here? This deal buys both leaders breathing room. Trump can claim a win before facing more domestic pressure. Xi can show he didn't back down while maintaining economic flexibility. But nothing fundamental has changed. We're still in a long-term great power competition. The tariff war isn't over. It's just on pause. The media will spin this as either triumph or disaster depending on their politics. The truth? It's messy, complicated, and unfinished. Like most real-world diplomacy. My advice: watch what happens in the next 12 months. Watch whether China actually buys soybeans at 2024 levels. Watch what the Supreme Court says on November 5th. And watch whether those rare earth controls really get routinely extended, or whether we're back to crisis mode next fall. Because in trade wars, just like in real wars, temporary truces don't equal lasting peace. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis valuable, subscribe for more balanced breakdowns of the stories media oversimplifies.